going to be doing Flavia's Advent Whiskey Calendar Day 26. Or 26, Jesus, there's not even 26 options here. So I don't know where that came from. I saw a 2 and I got nervous, and then I said a 6 after that. It made no sense. Apologies. I've clearly been drinking too much today. So we're going to be doing Flavia's Advent Calendar Day 22, Deuce, and we'll see how this one goes. I am not sure what this is. We've been jumping around quite a bit. In the last whiskey that we reviewed was a bourbon from Washington State, from Seattle, from Woodinville, and it was a port finished product. So I'm going to kind of reset that palate once more. And we'll see where we go from there. Probably should have cut that out, but that's fine. It's raw, doing this raw, so you all know what we go through here. This one's light, man. This is like a hay light. Immediately when I see a light whiskey, I go right to overseas. I go to Irish, I go to Scotland, I go to Japan, I go to Korea, Chinese, newly Chinese, go to single malt product, generally speaking. And the reason why that is very prominent is because they use X bourbon or X something casks in their maturation process. American whiskey, it's required to be a new char American oak. So you take a freshly cut down tree, you put it into a cask, and you basically burn the hell out of the inside of it. And that burning process, and it being new, creates a caramel filter, and that is what interacts with the whiskey, which makes it a very deep color for that grows as it ages. With whiskey from overseas, the color is much lighter because they use an X cask, so something that had bourbon in it previously that was shipped over there. Since bourbon laws require us to use a new char American oak, we have a lot of barrels that we can't use anymore. So distilleries in Scotland and Ireland will buy X make or mark barrels, ship over there, and then they can use that in their process to give them that vanilla caramel, traditional American bourbon notes in their product. So immediately go to that, watch, I'm going to smell this, and this is going to be an American whiskey that's probably just super young. But that's why they do that process, or why generally it's a little bit lighter over there. Which is also why, funny note, that you see a lot of Scotch and Irish whiskeys put out their whiskey in a colored piece of glass, because generally people associate a lighter colored product with something that's younger and cheaper, which doesn't necessarily correlate. So you see a lot of green bottles and like darker bottles over there to mask the color, because people think that a lighter whiskey is a little more off-putting. No more history lesson, let's smell it. This is not American. I will die on that hill. I am not sure what it is yet, but this is not American. The smell's very fresh, very green, very almost swampy, like a bog a little bit, where it's got this like almost like this sour fungal note, but not prominent enough for me to think that this is definitively Scotch. A lot of the fungal notes and the medicinal notes and the iodine notes I associate with like the seaside over in Scotland. But I'm not getting that type of fungal or medicinal note. This is more of like a... Honestly, this even makes me think that this isn't even barley. Like, this is some sort of rice product out of Japan or something like that. That's what this makes me think. I don't think it is, but that's almost what I'm smelling, where it's not traditionally what I smell for Irish and Scotch single malt. Nose. C. Taste. Ooh. Have you ever tasted something? Like, if you taste whiskey a lot, one, welcome to the club. It's called AA. We should go. If you taste whiskey a lot, there are situations where when you taste something, it triggers something in you to let you know that you've had this before, and this is a familiar taste, but you cannot pinpoint it. That's where I'm at right now. This honestly tastes to me like buttered popcorn. Buttered popcorn, but with this like, I don't know if it's licorice or like, this is giving me movie theater vibes. Does that make sense? I don't know if I've ever said that for whiskey before. I don't know if you should say that for whiskey, to be honest. The tip of your tongue is giving you like this very sweet butter note. Then that's transitioning to like this corn, fresh grass, a little bit of fungal, but like not as much as you would associate with a single malt or like from Scotland. And then it's almost leaving as like this fungal slash licorice anise note, but it's very, very muted. So you're not tasting this and thinking you're drinking Zambuca. Like that's not what I'm saying. It's got the characteristics that I associate with licorice or anise or that Zambuca taste, but it definitely isn't that because those are very, very muted. But right off, like this is giving me a lot of buttered toast, buttered popcorn, buttered roasted something. I think this is a bourbon or a corn focused. Now, is this like a grain whiskey? I feel like the difference for me of Scotch and Irish whiskey is I feel like Scotch gives me generally, I know that there are outliers to everything that I say, but generally speaking, Scotch gives me more of a full-bodiedness to it, where the oils of the Scotch whiskey generally coat my mouth and stick around for a while. Irish whiskey, I tend to associate with more of a weaker, thinner product. I don't know if that's what this is. I traditionally, through this Flavier box, have been very harsh on Irish whiskey because I feel like the products that I've had here have lacked a lot of depth and body to them. So that's where I'm going with this. This doesn't traditionally remind me of a lot of Irish whiskey. This tastes a little bit like corn. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is like a very craft distillery that's making like 100% like a mellow corn. Like a mellow corn type note. But I think it's from overseas. The thing that's drawing me away from overseas is because I'm not getting that sea salt, but sea salt obviously is generally associated with the coast. And if you have something in mainland Ireland that is like on the east coast of Dublin, you're not going to have a lot of sea salt notes because it's not in the water. So that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go that it's a single grain Irish whiskey that maybe is like made in a copper pot still or something like that. Just because I this is very, I know we talked a couple episodes ago about like smooth being a weird characteristic. This is giving me like very smooth, well-rounded. A lot of the impurities have been taken out, which makes me think that this is like double or triple distilled. And it's giving me a lot of the like butter, honey, sweet notes that really aren't punching through. So I can see this being like a mix of a malted, unmalted product or like a single grain product from Ireland. Probably aged like 6 years or something and probably around like $45. Let's see what this is. Oh, hell yeah, okay. Let's go, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, the captain has turned on the tasting lights. Please ensure your glasses are steady as we approach our next tasting destination, Dublin, Ireland. I got the friggin' city right, bro. Let's go. Below, you'll see glimpses of County Kerry's majestic coastline, where rolling sand dunes meet the Atlantic breeze, creating a habitat as unique. Just so you know, getting the city right is not an accomplishment. I can't name you any other cities in Ireland, really. So Dublin was the one and only option. If this was a multiple choice, it would have been Dublin for all A, B, C, and D. So I'm not really taking that to the bank. I'm kind of excited that it called Ireland, but don't give me any credit for Dublin. Just so you know. We actually had them at a Whiskey Riot, I think, and they gave me a shirt with a big frog on the back. This is Natterjack. I don't know if I said that. Natterjack Irish Blend. So it is a blend. Natterjack Irish Whiskey Blend number 1. It's 80 proof, which makes sense. It's very weak and thin. Natterjack is unique Irish whiskey with its toe to its heart. Okay, so we were kind of right. So crafted from 20% malted barley and 80% corn. That makes sense. I don't know if I said corn, but that's what I was thinking. But I don't really see a lot of corn-focused products over in Ireland and Scotland. So that's what made me think it was more on that grain side. That's why I said grain instead of like a single malt. Because I was getting a lot of corn influence, but I didn't know what distilleries actually used corn as their prominent feature. So that's pretty fascinating. And it's aged in American oak, char 4. Okay. Triple distilled. Got that right. That was wild. I think this is a more affordable option, which hopefully it is, and it would make more sense because, like I said, this tastes thin. This tastes weak. Not in a bad way. I'm not saying that is in a bad way. I don't know if I ever gave it a final rating. Final rating, I'm going to go 73. I'm not saying it in a bad way that it's weak and thin. I don't like my whiskey weak and thin, so I guess I am saying it in a bad way. But, like, I'm not saying this whiskey is not good because it's weak and thin. I just think that it's lacking a lot of characters that set it apart from the competition. What you all have to understand, too, is whiskey's a massively, I mean, it was like 6 years ago. It's steadied out quite a bit recently, but whiskey was a massively growing industry. I mean, it still is to some extent. Tequila kind of took over, but it was similar to like the craft brewing market where it just exploded and now you have a brewery on every corner. Same with distilling. So you have to make something that's different and distinct from your competitors. This does it by that corn, but corn is very weak. We talk about it all the time. Corn is generally a very lame grain to make whiskey with, and that's like the main requirement to making bourbon. But there's no tasting profiles there. Corn is just not a very impressive product to put in a whiskey because it's not giving you anything like an oat or a barley or a wheat or a rye would. Rye and wheat are flavoring grains, and barley kind of takes more of that like fruity note to it. Corn just kind of gives you bourbon in dust. Like it's not, I don't know. I'm very biased. $34.99 for this, a very affordable Irish whiskey option. That's exactly what you need for a product that tastes like this. Would you have it in your collection? Sure, if you want a cheap Irish whiskey. We talked a little bit ago from, what was that other Irish whiskey? Finbarra. I'll take this over Finbarra. It has a little bit more character to it. It's a little bit different, and it's the same price. I would take this in my collection over Finbarra, which kind of justifies my no, I wouldn't for the Finbarra product. Yeah! It's decent. It's nothing crazy, but they're not pricing it to be something crazy. It's a blended product, corn from Ireland. Cool. That's it. You had this with me. Appreciate you joining me and tasting this. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. And we will see you tomorrow for day 23 of the Ever Whiskey Calendar. I always recommend a good response to and don't let it grow.